Hello! Excitement again today. Another box from iFlight. It's a bigger one this time. Just before we get into that, of course, a quick reminder to please like or dislike if you didn't like this video. Comment down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon in the corner. It tells you when I'm uploading stuff. Well, I'm even slightly more excited than normal today. Because I haven't reviewed a 5-inch quad for a while. It's been all micros and then whoops and then toothpicks, some 3 inches, but 5 inches have been few and far between. This is the Nazgul5 from iFlight. Comes in two flavours. This is the 4S version. There is also a 6S version as well. Thank goodness I got the 4S version because I still don't have any 6S batteries. Let's open up, see what's inside. I do like getting stuff from iFlight because both their build quality is very good and they tend to package things up nicely and have decent components in here. This is in the box. We've got two sets of props, Nazgul 5140. Ooh, lots in here. It's packed very nicely. We've got 5 bags of spare bits. There looks like there's 4 for each motor. So we get a prop nut and 4, and they look like they're pre-treated with Loctite screws, I guess for motor screws in case they come loose. We've got a little board for the Caddx camera that's on board. Come to that in a sec. We got these 2 little protectors for popping over the XM Plus. This is the XM Plus version. A spare battery strap, there is one installed. Some foam for helping keep the battery. It's not the anti-slip silicone stuff, it's just foam. Let's get the quad out. It is quite a monster. Feels like quite heavy but quite substantial in what it's built from here. I'm getting 4.8 on this, so that's probably 5mm arms. They're nicely rounded off. It's pretty strong. I notice all the arms are sandwiched between extra plates on the bottom and top, and there's obviously a separate top plate and stuff there. There's also these quite nice TPU printed bits. You see these grey bits on the motors there. On these side bits you can see how the antenna part can move. It's got it over the camera as well. Hopefully that will act as a bit of help with stopping any shakes. The camera, I'm pleased to say, is a Caddx Ratel, which is my favourite camera ever. Still, nothing has come close to it yet for me. I've got a separate review and actually have a look over there and you'll see it. These motors are gorgeous and feel really quite large. These are 2750 kV iFlight Xing E. They're 2207. Big motors. Very interesting. This is quite a substantial quad. How much does it weigh? Specs say it's 362 grams without the battery. It's obviously going to get heavier. We've got a 45 amp ESC board in there, run D-Shot 600. The VTX can run PIT 25 600 milliwatts. Don't know what happened to the mid ones there. Running IC Tramp protocol, and it's recommended something like a 1300 to an 1800 milliamp hour battery. With something this significant and having motors like this, which are like 51, I suppose 5140 is not outrageously big, but yeah, it feels like high C battery is going to be the way to go. Presumably, I just realised I was missing an antenna for it. It's down here. It's a little, just as 5.8 FPV antenna. It's their own iFlight one to go on the back there. Yeah, let's get this on the Betaflight. Let's get it configured and take it from there.
Okay, so let's just give this a quick once over in Betaflight. I haven't done anything yet other than buying the receiver. I just want to see what's going on here. Quad is reacting fine, always good. So let's have a look at ports. Ports, oh, we got quite a lot of UARTs on this one. So the VTX is RC Tramp, and we've got the serial RX set up. Got 2 spare UARTs, which might come in handy. Config wise, D-Shot 600 RBLE motor stop. That's quite interesting. I don't think I've ever had an RTF 5-inch with props out. Quite common in micros and whoops, but I don't think I've seen a 5-inch before. Anyway, we've got an 8K 8K loop. Obviously I've changed the craft name. I'm changing the arming angle to 180. Yep, all this looks good here. I'll turn RX Lost off. I'll come back to this afterwards. That looks all okay there. Bit tuning, yeah, there's been some work done there, certainly. Look at the eye on the yaw, that's interesting. I'd be bumping up my Super 8 to 0.8 as per normal. Receiver, I have bound this. Let me just switch the quad on. You see my channel map was wrong. I use AETR, but I do see that they've got OX12 there as the RSSI channel. Weird, they never set this up. Everything seems quite well set up, but you'd think RSSI would want to be in there, wouldn't you? Modes, they've just got a couple in there. We'll sort that out. OSD, that's not bad. Quite sensible what they've done there. I'll just be changing that as per my norm. What's this running? We are running Betaflight 4.04, and the target is Betaflight F4, which is a new one for me. But yeah, I'm just going to go make those quick little changes, get my mode done, make sure my sub trims and stuff are all happy, and then we'll put some props on and see if we can fly this thing. Alright, here we are. Got the Nazgul5, it's ready to go, all set up. Haven't actually even hovered it yet. I've spun the motors up, they looked okay. I think I'll give it a quick hover just to make sure. Didn't bring my head mount, so I have to try and get an angle where you can actually see it going up and down. But I don't intend to do much before I give it an actual flight. Little bit of breeze, not too bad. I don't think that it should affect the footage we get from this too much. So yeah, let's take it up, see? Yep, so happy to report success in the hover, and literally I didn't do much more than do a quick hover, fly half a circle, and then put it down on the floor because I wanted to get this quad up and FPV it. So you'll have to excuse the horrible noise there, but as the VTX appears to send audio down a microphone to the DVR, I thought I'd just show you what you get there. It's nothing you'd ever want to publish, but if you were having a problem, you could at least listen and see if you were getting some weird noises from the motor. Now, the first thing I noticed about this flight is, well, first off, it felt really smooth and I was happy about that. But I felt I was getting a little bit of static and noise and breakup quite early on here. Now, we started off in 25 milliwatts as I'd normally do, and normally I'd expect 25 milliwatts to go, you know, quite reasonable around this field. It's not strong, but we're in a nice open field. There's no real areas of RF interference. But over here I'm probably only about 100 meters away, and when I turn back round there I'm getting some noise which I'm not liking. This is a top mount battery, and the VTX antenna is kind of at an angle, and so I guess that can block quite easily. Again though, I don't normally see this sort of problem with many quads that I fly. Generally it does do okay, but yeah, I'm having more of a problem than I would imagine here, so I decide to come in a little bit early, land, so I can fiddle about with the VTX power. Now, as I said in the intro, this VTX describes itself on the Banggood site as being 25 or 600 milliwatts with nothing in between. I actually go and set this to 200 milliwatts just as soon as I figure out we're on Tramp, not Smart Audio. I don't know if this means it is 200 and it's an error in what it describes itself or what, but there you go. I'm flying at what I think is 200 milliwatts. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. So let's try that again now we've upped the power. And yeah, it's looking quite a bit better there. I mean, it's fair to say the trees are now got their leaves, and I have to be a little bit careful going all the way down that right hand side because I'd be a little bit behind the trees there. But yeah, I'm a bit happy with that image. That looks nicer. Of course, the image here is being brought to us by the lovely Caddx Ratel, a camera I'm still in love with after my initial review, and the first RTF quad I've seen use it, which is a massive thumbs up in my book. Some may say that the picture looks a little bit oversaturated, maybe a little bit over sharpened. It looks pretty good to me. I generally look at what my GoPro is filming because I like the look of the GoPro, and if this comes out similar, I'm thinking that camera's good. But yeah, I mean, you've got the joystick in the package. If you want to tune down the saturation and the colours and the sharpness and all that stuff, that is available to you. Now, this was kind of an interesting flight, this one, because I was just sort of flying around behind myself in an area I generally would do when I had an issue, and you will be able to see RX lost jump up on the screen just round here. But yeah, signal was lost and down I went into the grass. Well, I was going to complain about that and say, what's up with this receiver? I've been round here loads of times not a problem, but when I've actually come to find the quad, which is just sitting down there, that's where it went down, you can see I'm behind this really thick stuff, and we're talking about all the way over a stream, back up there, around some more tree. So I just got a little bit far over. I sort of normally go around this tree, but obviously I didn't come out this far normally, so that was my problem. You can see it went down in long grass, and it doesn't seem to be any damage, just a bit of wetness. Since I'm here, look, I found a log to sit on, and I'll fly around that tree some more, I think, as it's a bit dull over there where I can't do some stuff I wanted to.
So I finished off that second battery, but I thought I'd take you onto battery number 3 here to talk about the power consumption of this thing, because it's a really interesting thing. These are 5140 props, which aren't massively pitched, but are a little bit longer than a normal 50s. So what I noticed from this is it's really nice. They are sort of gently pitched, and this makes it really easy to control. You can hold your altitude fantastically, and it's really responsive. But when you go 100% on that throttle, it really does suck the amps out of the battery. I think I'm flying with the 1800 R line here. And I'm basing that on the fact that I'm getting sort of a 5-minute flight out of this particular one. So it's useful to use a decent sized high C battery, because I noticed on the 1300s they were really going into sort of volt deficit when I was pumping the throttle. But let's talk about how this thing flies, because I think it flies pretty amazingly. With most quads, you know, there's an element of you fly a few packs and you sort of start getting into it, and then you know what it does. What I liked about this one is pretty much instantly out of the box, it just felt right. And you know, that's probably very subjective and very personal, but it felt right for me. So I could take this and feel I could pretty much do anything I wanted with it. I was, you know, quite happy about trying out some gaps, trying to go under things and go very low to the ground. I do like it when I can just hold the altitude. Sometimes in a quad where the pitch is very high and it's a little bit sensitive on the throttle, you find yourself kind of sort of porpoising when you're trying to keep low, just going slightly up and down. I love something where it's really easy just to hold the height just as you want it. And obviously you can tune things in Betaflight, but I didn't. Aside from changing my super rates, this is stock out of the box, and I think it's flying really, really well from that. Must be very good motors, ESC and prop combination. I'm really happy with that. Again, I need to talk about the camera again, because I'm really loving this camera in terms of the colour it provides, but also it's able to show me nice amounts of detail. If you saw the previous review I put out about the Hawkeye split, you'll know that if you look at this tree gap here, I had real problems seeing where I was going on that Hawkeye split. I didn't have any problems on the Nazgul. It didn't stop me hitting the branches occasionally. That's just me being very inaccurate about how I'm flying. But the fact I could be confident about going up to this stuff immediately on my third battery, and you know, not worrying at all about how it was going to react, says, I think, volumes about this quad. Just really fantastic. I really can't stress enough just how nice it is to be able to go out and fly a quad straight away like it's one you've been flying for ages. It puts it into quite an elite little group of quads that I have. I have a sort of 3 or 4 quads now that I know are just going to fly exactly how I want them to. All different manufacturers, and normally speaking, these are kind of premium models, and it's kind of, you know, do you get what you pay for in this sort of thing. You will notice we do still get a little bit of noise from the camera. I'm noticing it mainly in the 100% throttle. We seem to get the ESC noise bleeding through onto the picture. Most of the time I'm not 100%, but when it does happen, you will see it, and you get slightly sort of diagonal lines across the screen. There is a capacitor on board. The power should be clean. It's not quite as clean as I'd like it to be. It's a bit of a nitpick, but you know, we like things absolutely rock solid if we can get them. So that's not as good as it could be there.
Anyway, this, as I said, I think is the 1800 battery. So I got a good 5-minute flying, and you can see I'm not exactly going slowly. This is a pretty fast quad. Most of the time I'm sort of 20-30% throttle. You only have to go up to sort of 40-50%, and this thing is really racing along. It certainly doesn't feel at all slow. So yeah, brilliant speed out the box. There's still a bit more camera angle I could use and still get fairly good happy landings out of it. Let's bring this thing in for a landing, and then we'll talk about conclusions and what I thought about it in general.
Well, I had a couple of small nitpicks about this, but overall the experience I had was actually very, very good. I found it very easy to fly, very predictable. These 5140 props aren't sort of crazy pitch, and that really helps just keep exactly where you want it. So after just like a pack, I was just really happy flying it wherever. It was just really easy to hold attitude perfectly, find the gaps just right, not have any difficulty just handling the throttle exactly how I wanted to. There are a few little nitpicks that I need to mention, and they're both to do with the VTX, maybe the camera. First off, at 25 milliwatts, I was getting noise where I wasn't expecting it. It looked like either it wasn't putting out enough power, I don't have a power meter, I can't tell, or this antenna is actually not very good. Not sure which that is. I could try and swap that out with something like the recent Rush ones I tested, which were very good, and I've got an SMA one I could check out with that and see if that's better. As soon as I went up to 200 milliwatts, it was a lot better. That kind of puts it back to, is it putting out enough power? I don't know. We have to check that. The other thing we had on full throttle, we got a bit of noise on the picture, which, you know, I don't like. Could have been better. There is a big old capacitor here. Most of the time it's absolutely noise free and a very good view. It's just on that full throttle. These are nitpicks, as I mentioned though. And the reason I'm nitpicking so much is when I got this, I wasn't aware of the price it would be. I got it out of the box, I had a look at the build and assumed it was one of these premium quads. And by that I mean something like maybe the HCLC Batman 220 or the Coppers 2 here. Both are really good out of the box quads, and I sort of was judging this against it. Then I find out that really, for a bind and fly like this is actually a budget model. To put that into perspective, I went and checked out the prices. Now I must stress these are today prices, these could change, just to see how it would differ. The Coppers 2, which is a bind and fly with a RXSR receiver, is the most expensive, £264 today, and you can just convert this to dollars, it's roughly the same. Highly spec'd, very good quad, fairly expensive. The HTLC Batman 220, and I must say I've made some changes. There's a GPS there, there's an R9 system on it. That's coming in as 209, but that comes without a receiver, so you have to provide one. This Nazgul5, this is the 4S version. There is a 6S version, which is the same price. Comes in with an XM Plus at £160. That is a budget quadcopter, yet it's not equipped as a budget quadcopter. This is really highly spec'd and it flies really nicely and is absolutely brilliantly put together. Love the fact it's got the Caddx Ratel on it. Love that camera, absolutely gorgeous pictures. These Zing motors are excellent. Flight controller didn't miss a beat, it was smooth out of the box. As I said, I only had a couple of nitpicks, and that was with a little bit of noise at full throttle and that VTX at 25 milliwatts. Other than that, it's amazing. One thing I would mention, it's not so much a nitpick, just something to be careful of. When you're top mounting a battery like this, you do have to be a little bit careful about where your wires go. So it would be easy to do it wrong and have the wires pushing downwards, which could catch in the props. So you just have to give yourself an extra few minutes to think about how you're going to mount it, depending on the batteries you've got. But yeah, I can really recommend this as a quad for all people. If you're experienced in quads, you'll get a lot out of it. It's fast, it's smooth, it seems extremely good out of the box. If you're a beginner, and although you know this is potentially quite a powerful quad, you can tune down the rates, you can flatten the camera, you can learn how to fly on this very nicely. Something I'd have liked to have seen is a proper beeper, but again you can put in an aftermarket battery backed one. or do what I do and attach it to the battery just in case it goes down in a remote place. But the rest of it is absolutely fantastic, just fantastic value for money. I can't get over how much it was. I was expecting this to be literally the same sort of price bracket as this. One thing I will do is come back and fly it some more, because you don't get it as standard. I got sent one by iFlight. This is the GoPro mount, and it's been designed so it fits into these 4 screws like this. And this has got my very precious GoPro 7 Black in it. I don't know if I'm going to risk that or not, quite frankly, but this flew okay, so I might do. So I must mount this up and see how it works as a camera ship, because of course if you're flying freestyle and you want to know if this is going to be smooth and it's going to be the right sort of quad to get you decent images to upload, then that'd be quite nice to do. And at the same time I could try swapping out that antenna to see if it improves the picture at all. But anyway, yeah, this is the iFlight Nazgul5. This is the 4S version, 6S is available. Kindly supplied for review by Banggood, so thanks to Banggood. And of course you can find links down below. And once again, I highly recommend it if you're just getting into quads, because this will just bind and go and be fantastic out of the box. Anyway, hope that's been helpful, and I'll catch you next video. Bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.